Todd and Rob in the afternoon.
Hey, afternoon delight.
With Todd and Rob. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we are. We're back. I'm back in the studio after the trek to CES while Rob held the fort down and put out an episode last week on the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. It was a very interesting episode having Mr. David Jackson on there and Doug Kay, who's probably new to a lot of people who watch this show, about his involvement in the podcasting space very, very early on, that we're recognizing at the Hall of Fame. I think he had pretty significant contributions back in the day. He's not actively still involved in podcasting, but he certainly had a significant, beginning.
Yeah, in the early
aspect.
days. You know
Right.
what, Rob? You're not centered on the camera. Move over a little bit so we can
Move over?
Yeah,
Like here?
Yeah, move over so your head's.
Well, it's that off-centered kind of look, right?
We don't want you in the off the frame falling off. So, and I'm going to be honest. I've been so busy, I didn't listen to the episode yet.
Oh, but you got it published, so the whole thing is up there and available, right?
So I got it online amongst trying to get home amongst this Coldmageddon, whatever it's being called. And
Coldmageddon.
Yeah. Definitely CES was cold. I froze the entire show.
Wow. Okay.
When we arrived, flew out Friday. That's my normal motif. I get one day, just to kind of do Vegas stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cold. I spent the first night, Friday night, in my room shivering. I did bring a winter jacket, hat, and gloves, thank God. And but anyway, Sunday and Monday we set up, get the studio ready, and they had the doors open in the convention center, and the wind was just howling. Stuff was falling over for exhibitors and stuff it was. And then Tuesday they turned the heat on just before the show, but it was a cold show. I'm still cold.
Yeah.
And then flew back. I extended coming back. I didn't come back on Saturday because I thought, well, my flight did getting canceled. Well, first of all, I was supposed to be on one of those grounded airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
So I changed flights earlier in the week to not be on one of those planes because I knew they weren't going to be back in service and probably that flight would be canceled. So then, of course, I'm watching the weather. I'm just saying 18 inches for Chicago and Michigan. I think they got 6. And I said, okay, I'll just bite the bullet. I stayed one more day.
Right.
And come back Sunday. And then
what was the attendance at CES?
Massive.
It was big. Huh?
It was big. Most number of exhibitors. The floor was busy. It was massive. Even on Friday, where it usually is sparse, it was packed. Absolutely packed. And Vegas airport looked like it, even on Sunday, people escaping. But one of the funny things about getting back was my car doors wouldn't open, so I had to crawl in through the hatchback to get into my car. And then it took literally 45 minutes to get stuff defrosted enough so I could even drive. But 2 Teslas that were in my shuttle, they were screwed. They had to call a tow wrecker. They couldn't move. So it's Tesla
I don't understand
Mageddon.
why they don't activate their battery warm up.
Their batteries went dead.
Completely dead?
Yes, they were dead. They were out of charge.
Wow.
That's what happened in Chicago. It's Tesla Mageddon in Chicago. Have you seen the reports?
Yeah, I just have seen there's a lot of reports on Google about how those Tesla cars behave in cold weather, and you can mitigate those issues if you
have enough charge.
Well, yeah, and if you're running really close to the bottom of the barrel, you don't have any juice to warm things up.
So is your car in a garage?
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's so you don't have a problem. It's all these people that are parked on the street.
Well, and it's also not, 15 below zero too. I mean, I'm like, I'm
Well,
like,
it's not.
maybe 15 degrees, not
It's
15 below
well,
zero.
it's
So,
zero here,
right.
but anyway.
Right.
So
Well, that's a big difference. I mean, even gas powered cars have problems when you get
I,
much below zero.
but I
So,
did record about 10 minutes
Yeah.
of the guy that was 2 cars down from me swearing
mhm.
and how
If he had
he'll.
like 20% of battery when he left on his trip or something like that, yeah, I can see where
Well,
might
he
have a
said he
problem.
was at like 62 or something, but he was gone 10
Oh,
days. So, and so he's cussing and I'll
yeah,
I'll never buy one of these beep, 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 beep,
yeah,
beep. And I'm just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I was froze too. My car had, 5 inches of ice on it.
yeah, yeah.
The first time I don't go to a garage at Detroit and then, and oh, my scraper was missing. So of course
Oh,
I'm tearing ice with my hands. Oh,
oh boy,
not
oh
good.
boy.
Not
Yeah.
good. Whoever stole
So
my
let's.
Michigan State scraper. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you about what you saw at CES that was interesting, and the big takeaways on trends and displays and
Yeah.
media and
Well,
AI and all this stuff.
let me get my phone out because it's like pictures is how I can
Yeah,
remind myself because it all becomes a blur,
a blur after a while. Yeah.
and
If you really think back on it, not I kind of had these feelings after I left CES too. When I was going, there's like big Uber trends that you're feeling at this
yeah,
event, right?
no,
That,
no
that comes
big.
out of it, but you didn't feel that.
Well, health tech continues to be like exploding. And then
Okay,
lots of
right.
AI stuff that's going into glasses, into, supposed AI stuff going
hmm
into different. Oh, I saw no mono or whatever. How do you pronounce it?
No mono, right?
The,
Yeah, they were there. They were there. Yeah.
I found them by luck, and I wasn't looking
Oh,
for them. They must have been the last company to register at
okay.
CES. They were the last booth in the last corner of Eureka
Oh
Park.
no.
Oh,
Oh no.
they were in the worst. I mean, worst place. I walked by there and I was like, "Oh, I know you guys."
Yeah.
And they didn't recognize me initially, but then I'm like, "Oh, you know Rob?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, of course. Him and I do a show together." Oh,
Yeah.
he worked for the competition. So, there was a little of that, but
Yeah.
lots of record and transcribe with AI, lots of sound immersion, lots of safety. One thing that was cool was called from Sims Technology. It was basically a camera that you can wear instead of having a forward facing camera, it's a back facing camera
Mm.
that tells, it's primarily designed for anyone that's worried about their safety, women primarily,
Yeah.
tells us someone is approaching you. So if you're running and someone's running you down and you don't see them behind, it basically alerts when someone gets within proximity
Oh.
to you. It
Oh.
was pretty
Okay.
cool. And then you can send an alert via your cell phone. Bello, that was my product of the show. And
Was it? It's kind of like a personal ring camera. Is that what? Is that what we're doing here?
exactly.
Yeah.
Bello's a new way to drink water. Instead of having this smell infusion, what they do is they actually have pods that infuse the water with natural products, and this is going to be. I can't wait to buy this. So it was from Bello. It's not available yet. BelloWater.com. I did see kind of a fun product, an on-air thing where you can basically you have a little round cube, and you basically say you're on air or you're in a meeting or you're busy, and if for work at home people, it'll you can put a pod outside your office or like in the kitchen, or so that way when the doors close, you don't have a family member come rushing in and it's not designed for broadcasters, it's just for work. And
Right.
but it's called On Air Communicate with Light. And it's kind of a cute little product. Lots of smart glass stuff. Of course, Domano was there, recording your life. Mott was an interesting thing out of Michigan State University where they're sending robots down water pipes and inspecting the inside of the pipe. And not a surprise, Michigan's water is a D- in quality in municipality water. So in infrastructure, what else? One of the things I want to try that I haven't tried yet was called VCAT.ai. And basically it's a with the URL of a product detail page, the AI creates a marketing video in minutes. Found a cool ladder out of a company out of Korea that you just, when you see it, you just instantly realize what it is. For painters, they're trying to get distribution here in the United States. So, stupid things like that. Just a ladder. Portable oven from Will Cook for those that brown bag to work. You basically you stick your food in the bag. There's a battery in it, and it
cooks it in the bag,
and it warms it up to 250 degrees. So you don't have, won't cook it. Well, I don't think it's cooking. Maybe cook something at 250, but it's more of like a keep warm. Keep your bento. It's from a Japanese company. Keep your bento warm, or set it to warm up at a certain time. They're looking for U.S. distribution. Another company that was doing a very, very cool thing with sound, basically soundproofing rooms, and with see-through material. This is one I want, but I can't take it on an airplane. It's called Koza Sleep, COZASLEEP. It's a natural sleep product, and it's in liquid form. You just drink the bottle, and it's got all kinds of enzymes and stuff in it to make you healthy at the same time. So that's coming to the United States, but you can't get through security with. I told him, I said, you need to make the ounce count lower so that I can have this in my bag to get it through TSA. And the guy's like, gave me one of those. What else?
I also saw those clear screens were making a big presence.
Yeah, I didn't get
clear color screens.
I didn't get into that section. I found some stuff for EMPs though, for electronic magnetic pulse protection, for everything, airplanes, homes, cars, you name it. I thought that was kind of curious. That was a product line I've never seen at CES before.
So is it like a cage type of what's it called?
No, these were actually filters that you put in line of RF lines, so it basically protects stuff from getting zapped.
Got it.
Another company called Pixel, Pixell, AI for video quality and advancement. This blew me away. So, and it's kind of a niche product, but imagine, have you still got old videos, Rob, from like maybe family members from the 70s? I got all my stuff.
Even from the 30s, I have some.
I got all my
9mm.
Yeah, right. I got all mine converted to digital, right? So but the quality of that conversion is, it's a little sketchy. It's not great.
Yeah, it's like a light box kind of recording.
Yeah,
is what it is. It's not that good.
Well, this will digitally enhance those old videos, and and
colorize them as well if they have to be black and white?
No colorization in this one.
Okay,
but again, Pixel, company out of Korea, but sadly only B2B at this point, not B2C. So anyway, I just thought it was cool. The thing I need in my studio is this $2,500 GE 2-in-1 ventless washer dryer combo. So one unit washes and dries, just need water hookups, and you don't need a vent. And it's got a massive filter that you use to clean the lint out with. But $2,500. Thing was beautiful, absolutely amazing. And there was stuff like that. So drink machine I found that was pretty cool. Just some other stuff, But everyone says they got AI. Yeah, everyone. Oh, this has got AI. That's got AI. Red light therapy. That's now a thing, I guess. And so,
did you see any like audio gear that was increasingly having AI integration?
No audio gear, but these portable audio recorder packages like DJI and others sell.
Yeah.
Price on those are coming down dramatically. It's like $100. You can get a receiver and a transmitter now. I mean, just amazing. actually today DJI is supposed to be coming out with something audio too. I got the notice. I didn't go to their website.
Yeah, I saw it. It's their new wireless mic 2.
Oh, that's what came out. So I wondered what
Yeah.
the price on this is going to be, because here's the thing.
Not sure. I think it's on their app.
Yeah, let me look at the price. $349. This is ridiculous. Okay, I love DJI, but not worth it. Not worth $349 anymore. Because you can get this product now for under $150 aftermarket, folks.
Well,
so
And what they added to this little device, or this version, the version 2, is noise reduction technology is built into it,
okay.
which I've got the first version. It's on my shelf. back
Yeah,
here.
I've got
But-
one. I've got the first version too.
And I think it was in that same $300 price range.
Yeah.
For that one as well. I mean, it works terrific. It doesn't have the noise reduction technology that this new one has.
And this new transmitter will also work with their anyway, I'm looking at the website right now and seeing what they've got up. But $349 is too much. It's too much money now for the product. This product price has dropped dramatically through a whole bunch of different vendors. So
well, there's a lot of kind of people that are copycatting out there too.
oh, and it's the same guts, just different label on it. Maybe not DJI, but
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of what happened at CES, and we did 121 interviews, and
Yeah.
it turned out good. Stream turned out good. Just froze. That's the only thing.
Yep.
So I see the Hall of Fame announcement went out. You guys talked about it extensively. What's the feedback been? Kind of curious.
Yeah, I think we're selling tickets to the event to attend in person.
Yep.
I just talked to Chris Kremitzos earlier today about all that. So that's coming together, and we're just doing a last minute kind of buttoning up things on who's inducting who and getting those people booked and getting in the acceptance videos, because some folks can't attend in person. So we're going to have inducting,
Yep.
acceptance videos, I guess is the right way to say it, that we're going to play during the live ceremony, and it's going to be live streamed. So if you're not going to Podfest, you can certainly watch it if you would like. It's going to be off of the Lipson YouTube channel.
Okay.
So that's a great way to go. Or you can go to podcasthof.com, and hopefully it'll be an embed that's part of that website. So we're going to try and pull that together too.
All right.
But I'm excited for the inductees. I've faced some, there's been some pushback on a few of the inductees, and there's been also a lot of feedback coming in about, maybe people that maybe deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that haven't been inducted yet. So I think that's been an ongoing conversation since 2015, actually.
Yep. And having missed a couple of years has not helped this backlog.
Oh, it's more than a couple of years. It's at least 4 or 5 years. Actually, we've missed because of what happened with the pandemic and podcast movements, and then making the move to Podfest.
Yep.
Kind of lost a year. So we're running way far behind, even with the induction nominations that we have in the pipeline already.
Yeah, there's a huge stack of people in that list.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of people that we haven't got in the list yet. So, and I acknowledge that, and we want to rectify it. There's lots of ideas coming in, and obviously always welcome to that. So
How do we, it's a time situation on the induction ceremony. So how do we do we do a mid-year and make it virtual? Is that the, do we do a, say, okay, we're gonna try to do a makeup and do another 8 in 6 months or something?
Yeah, Todd, I think it's a good question to ask, just around how this whole organization operates, right? Because it's been pretty much something that it's been run by the event that it's being held with, in combination with Lipson. I mean, I volunteered to kind of lead the pulling everything together this year to, bring some continuity to the system and have somebody that isn't part of Lipson, that isn't
Right.
part of Podfest, to kind of manage the Hall of Fame kind of process.
Piece of it,
And
yeah.
yeah, but it is pretty, it's also pretty reliant on Rob Walsh as well. He's a great partner in this as well. But I do want to, as we look to next year, really build out that committee around, or that group around, who's managing the Hall of Fame, and start looking at it beyond just Lipson. It's not that we don't want Lipson involved. It's
Right.
more to do with let's try and build this Hall of Fame to be perceived as more inclusive of the whole industry, is what I'm really driving towards. And unfortunately, when you have a dominant sponsor like this, that's heavily involved in the production and all this kind of stuff, and the process, that doesn't always give the best kind of inclusive perception of the event. And so I want to kind of move it in that direction, and I definitely appreciate Lipson's support, and I hope that everybody recognizes that and appreciates what
Yeah, they wrote the check.
they're really stepping up. And Chris Kremitzos from Podfest is really stepping up, and I was able to help me secure Dr. Drew to be our master of ceremonies at the event too.
That's big.
That was no easy undertaking. He's a very busy and popular creator,
Yep.
right? As we all would probably, realize.
Yep.
So getting him there in person to actually be the master of ceremony of this was not an easy lift. So I think it does kind of set the stage for what type of event we want to create in the future. But this idea, Todd, that you have about maybe doing a mid-year induction to help us catch up is certainly a good idea. And I think in order to accomplish that, though, I think we need to have a kind of an independent organizing group that can maybe work with more variety of sponsors, get more people involved from the podcast community, inputting, but the core of the Hall of Fame is really around the inductees. The inductees are the inducting committee, right? And want to foster those relationships and keep building on those and keep figuring out a way. But I think, your point is well taken. We could do a mid-year induction ceremony and then still have an in-person one once a year as well, as an
At
alternative
least
here.
for and with the understanding it won't go forever.
Well, it
because-
might, Todd, because there's just that many people that we need to get in.
Well,
So that's the other part.
but if you do a virtual event, you could do a bigger group. Because you're not constrained by time. Now the ceremony might be 3 hours long. Maybe.
Well, and I kind of, I put together most of the run of show for the event for this year, and I think we're at about an hour and 25 minutes, something like that, with our current.
Yeah, that's pretty long, because the acceptance speeches are more than speeches; they're stories.
Well, and that's what's also challenging too, is that some of the inductees are sending in videos, right? And the
Mhm.
videos tend to be only about 2 to 3 minutes long. So
Right.
it's not really as long as what would typically happen
Yep.
with an in-person acceptance, which typically goes as long as 5 or 6 minutes. And there's examples of
Some that
like,
went much longer,
like 10 minutes or more, right?
Which is okay, because some of those stories were good.
Yeah, exactly. But it does kind of make the event a lot longer, because there's also the inductor presentation prior to that too, which we're trying to limit to about 3 minutes, is what we're trying to do. And I'm sure some people will be shorter
See,
than 3 minutes.
so I can do 30 categories in about 75 minutes. Now, the reason I do that is there's no inductor. Everyone's limited to 3 minutes. But again, most people that send in videos are 1 minute to 2 minutes.
Yeah. I think that's pretty typical. I think Adam Carolla, I think, sent in over 3 minutes. But I think we want to hear from Adam. So
yeah. But and if you look at this list, A lot of people are like, "Who's that?" Who is?
Well, that's the point of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Right?
and I think that it's good, but last time I saw the nominee list, wow, it's long.
Yeah, I think we have like 60 or 80 people on the list right now.
Yeah, see,
already.
so let's think about this. If we've missed 8, so 8 for each year that we've missed.
That's 10 years just to get through the list we have now.
Yeah. No way. So the first induction was 2015.
15.
And so how many years did we miss?
6. I think 5.
5? 19.
I believe 4.
No, 20. We would have missed 20. Did we miss 21?
The last one prior to last year or 2022 was 2018.
No way.
Yep. That's when Dave Jackson was inducted.
So
was in 2018.
That was the last one in person we've done?
Prior to the 2022 one.
19 and 20.
Well, that's 4 years right there.
So it's 19 and 20. And then if we did one in 20, 4. So that means there's 32 that would have been inducted that have not.
That would have put us at like 74 inductees by now.
Yeah.
Which would have covered most of that list that we have right now. I think that there's still people that we're missing.
There's huge,
right.
So what could be done if we, again, it's how many do you do at one time? If you have a mid-year, that's 8. You have to have a mid-year for the next 4 years. And that's just getting us even.
Yeah, right. That's just catching up.
So
right.
There's got to be a way. This is something where we have to get caught up. We have to say,
I think that it's possible for us to do 10 maybe on an event, after doing the run of show, but it is going to go a little bit long. And people, I put Adam Carolla in the 8th position just because I want people to stick around.
So if we could go, see, it helps. I just it pains me here,
Yeah.
It does. But if you think about the cost of those trophies too, those trophies are about $300 each. So and
they're expensive and they're heavy and they're heavy to ship too. But they're nice. It's the same trophy that we got and the crew from 2018, the same trophy. So.
Well, I look at the 56 trophies I'm shipping for the podcast awards. That bill is woohoo! Ooh, that one makes credit card smoke.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe it'd be nice. It would be nice to do some catch up because there's just such a huge list of deserving people, and it's not and. Like Lori, she was an industry person. There's a huge number of industry persons that are.
Well, that's kind of why we did what we did to some degree, and we faced a little bit of public criticism for this because we weren't going after like sports podcasters or something like. There's no sports podcasters in the Hall of Fame yet,
right?
So arguments like that have been made, but I think also, and Doug Kay mentioned this on last episode about how balanced the Hall of Fame inductees are to the whole industry, right? Lori Sim is a good example of that, right?
Right.
Where it's not necessarily an Adam Carolla. So you combine like an Adam Carolla with a Lori Sims or Aaron Mankey. It's an interesting contrast, right? Of the scope of this industry, and it's not necessarily just podcasters.
And there's a couple of people on the list that I put on there that were instrumental in many of the things that they haven't been inducted yet, but they were instrumental in things that they have done in podcasting that if they had not done it, we would not be here.
Yeah, like your former colleague, Angelo.
Right.
He was the architect that really pulled together the podcast.
The measurement, the guidelines.
The measurement standard with
Stats.
the IAB. And,
Yeah.
Right. That was a pivotal contribution.
And Robert Freeland, another behind the scenes guy that no one knows who Robert Freeland is.
Yeah.
But he's part of the system that's made this whole thing rock and roll.
Yeah, I think it's easy to really put all the emphasis on the
Talent.
big names,
Right.
in the industry, and unfortunately, I think it's wrong to some degree to ignore the contributions that maybe aren't necessarily talking on a microphone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and it's not supposed to be all talent. That's
Right.
from the beginning. It's not. It was never designed to be all talent. It's those that have
Though
made.
I think the first couple of induction ceremonies, yours included, was pretty heavy on the creator side.
Yeah.
But I think we have started to gravitate towards, thinking about the industry in a much more broad.
So,
spectrum.
there could be then, there could be a decision made that X number of industry people will be inducted every year and X number of talent will be inducted every year. There could be a decision to say.
I think that's a great approach, actually. And actually, Rob Walsh has kind of designed this to do exactly that. So we're working together so we have different buckets that we put people into.
Yeah.
In the nomination process.
Just like the Grammys, they have different buckets.
Right, but we hadn't, as has been pointed out to me, we haven't created buckets that were specific to different segments in the industry from the standpoint of like public radio or from sports broadcasters or comedians or that's more in the realm, I think, of an award show.
Yeah.
To actually do that kind of thing. And that's not what this is about. This is not an award show.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, it's again, I think of sports shows, and every category has their champion. They're and
no question about it. Right?
But
I agree with you.
But the question is, it's the you can't. I don't know how, we got to get this backlog.
And unfortunately, Todd, politics comes into play here. And it's unfortunate, but that's kind of what happens, right? There are certain genres of podcast content that people are going to object to if we were to nominate people from some of these genres. I'm not going to go into names or anything.
Well,
I'm just going to say that there's controversy around content.
Well,
more than ever before.
Guess what? This is the beauty. Okay, I'm gonna reach over there and knock your head off, Rob. Now, come on now.
I agree with you.
We are. It's.
I'm not going to play into that game, but
yeah.
What I'm telling you is that the world around us,
I know,
is thinking that way.
But
and there has been comments that have made to us about even the inductees we have right now. So
yeah. Well,
it's political lens.
Well,
right?
This is about content in all voices. This is the beauty of the genre. Is politics should have nothing to do with any of this.
Well, that's totally what my answer has been to any of this. Is
nothing.
That read the goals and the mission of the Hall of Fame and what the criteria is for being considered.
Right.
And then pass your judgment. If we're adhering to what we have said and committed to that we're going to do and represent this Hall of Fame, then that's all we need to do.
If politics becomes part of the process, I'm out.
Yeah, it really has no place in this process.
Right.
It's all about individual merit and contribution
to
the industry of podcasting. And I think we should all agree to that.
Yeah.
Each of us can have different opinions on content and different opinions on thoughts and, societal judgments. But that has no place here.
No, nothing. Zero.
Yeah.
And, you just look at this lineup. You look at Michael Butler. Oh my God.
I know.
Talk about OG. You know,
We're-
he goes to the meeting. Or, you look at the guest you had last week with Doug.
Kay.
And we're
Okay.
lucky to still have Doug. Doug almost got killed in an automobile accident. He
know,
might not be here. Because things happen.
Created some innovative technology back in that time. The whole
Levelator and all that.
Right.
But people
that was
don't.
groundbreaking.
And the Conversation Network and everything that they did. And of course, people are like, what are you talking about? Levelator, Conversation Network. What is that? Well, this is the problem.
This is why we need a Hall of Fame to be able to remember the people that contributed to getting us here.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Lipson really steps up and wants to, be that company that holds on to the legacy of this medium and where it has come from and where it's going. And I have to give him credit for that. I don't work for Lipson anymore, so
right.
It's not that I'm doing it because I'm a Lipson employee.
And you look at look at Aaron Mahnke, legend, absolute legend, in doing law.
Oh yeah, well, he had a TV show series with it, and he's just a very, very innovative creator that has pushed the envelope on the medium. And we totally appreciate his contribution to this medium.
And then there's people on lists that I'm not super familiar with. I know the name, but I don't know their work. But then other segments of the podcasting space, they're like renowned. So it runs the gambit here.
Yeah, it does. And it's really a really strong reflection of the spectrum of this medium and how kind of it's always something that I've struggled with and I've pushed against is this segmentation of the medium where people don't really know about each other in various parts of the medium because they're in different groups, right? They're either public podcasts or public media podcasts and typically don't know much about, the independent creator side, and the independent creators don't really know that much about the public radio folks. So it's these kind of like different bubbles, I guess, have existed. Same thing with the sports podcasters, same thing with the comedians. It's the same thing with the political podcasters or the health and fitness podcasters and like that. They kind of live in their own little kind of content bubbles.
And I will also say in years past, there have been a few podcasters that have turned down being inducted too. So,
yeah, there was one this year that did. So I'm not going to say who it is, but
I think that's worth noting when someone says, "Well, how come so and so hasn't been inducted?" There's
been a couple people that I've invited that have said no,
and so it's not because you don't have to be inducted. You can say no. I'm not interested in being inducted. I don't know if any other Hall of Fame does that, but
nobody's forcing any of these people to do what they're doing.
No, not at all. So,
yeah,
and
if you've invested like all these people have that are on this induction list, if they've invested a big part of their lives in this medium, and they deserve to be recognized for that, just like those other 60 people on our list.
So I see, think of Adam. He came in, 2008? 2007, somewhere around there.
Adam
Carolla. Aaron Mahnke's been,
yeah, I think Adam Carolla, I think he started his podcast in 2009.
Yeah, 8 or 9, something like that. Yeah. Aaron Mahnke's been, how far back does he go?
He's probably 2010. Probably.
I don't remember what year Daniel joined started. He was early.
Probably 2005 timeframe. Yeah.
So there's just Michael Butler, 2004, 2005, right in that time frame.
Yeah, and Maria Inoza has also been a significant contributor with her Latino USA program that she's had on public radio and then as a podcast for a really long time. She's had a big impact on that community.
So, I think that, that, and again, it's, Not a popularity contest for sure, because there's a few people on that list I didn't vote for.
Mhm.
You know, as a collective, we voted, and the collective decides. So
Yep.
no process is perfect.
No,
No,
and we're never going to get everybody in at once. I mean, if I can get this up to 10 inductees, we'll get 2 more in
and
there.
and you think about
but-
you want to talk about politics. Some of these other awards, big national awards, you can't be nominated unless you write a check for $100,000. And so
there's other criteria now that are getting in that process too.
So, there's all kinds of crazy things that go into other awards. No one has to write a penny to be inducted. Not a penny.
Yep. Oh, this whole thing is nobody's making money on this.
No, and no one has to buy a table. None of that stuff is within this.
Well, we are selling tickets to sell.
Well, good.
Or to attend, just to cover expenses.
So what is that?
That's the big thing to take away too here.
So does your Podfest badge get you in?
Not at this point.
Oh, so you have to buy a ticket to actually get into the awards.
At this point, I think Chris is working on maybe some pathways for certain,
Oh, so
VIP
that needs to be.
level.
Does the Podfest people know they have to buy a ticket to come to the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. That's up to Chris to market that and promote that.
Oh, okay.
That's not in my realm of control. That's
So
his.
So the tickets are $49 then to be able to come to the award.
At this point, and it's an Eventbrite link to be able to sign up for that. I believe if you just go to podfestexpo.com,
Yep.
there's a link to on there.
Yeah, I'm on. I'm on the page right now.
And also at the podcasthof.com, which is the landing website for the whole Hall of Fame. It has all the past inductees listed in there. Also.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's costing real money to put this thing on, to get things like get Dr. Drew there, and there was concessions that needed to be made to get him there, and
well, I think
it was important.
I hope Chris has got a square thing to buy tickets at the door if we have to.
And I understand there's going to be some food there and some drinks and things like that too.
All right.
So
awesome.
And I don't believe that there's any kind of dress code or dress requirements or anything like that we're imposing.
Well, I'm not wearing a dress. I'll show up in pants and a t-shirt.
You're not wearing a dress. I'm glad to hear that, Todd.
You're more than free to, Rob.
Okay.
So that was a good thing, is that it made clear that you have to buy a ticket to get into the event. So,
but it's free to watch as a stream online.
Okay, I got you.
So that's the other end of the access opportunity.
So those of you coming to Podfest, please support. Please support the event and buy your ticket and come and listen to these legends and listen to their stories. It will be worth every penny of the admission.
Yeah, and if we can get that momentum behind this event, we can turn it into something more as we look to the future and get more people in this, and really start to build some momentum around this whole Hall of Fame idea that's been kind of struggling, quite frankly, just because of the world events that have been going on, and I think after this event, I think going back and kind of pulling all of the wagons together, and everybody that has an interest in this to contribute to brainstorming about what we can make it and what we can turn it into going forward, I think is an important conversation to have.
Well, I am buying 2 tickets right now, or one for me and one for Mackenzie, who will be part of the Blueberry team that will be there.
Or yes, how many blueberry folks are going?
We're just taking
Just
two.
okay, just
It's
you
just
and
Mackenzie and I. Yep. We'll be the two of us will be there.
Okay.
All right. What is my little secret code? Oh, there we go. So put my money where my mouth is here, ladies and gentlemen.
And
And my ticket is 2 tickets are. Oh, come on. Where did you hear about this? Tickets are purchased.
awesome.
So
Thank you, Todd.
yes, absolutely. Get your ticket spot
Yay.
right there. Right there.
Everybody's working hard and trying to make this thing a success. So we got our, work cut out for us. I mean, trying to bring a good show is the next big thing right now. So
Well, that's the main thing. And
kind of like on what we did with the Ambi Awards, or the Ambies. It's all about, putting on a good show.
well, right there. I better save these tickets so they don't get lost. So I can make sure that I can show up the door and walk in. I'd hate to get to the door and not be able to get in.
Yeah, I would hate that too, Todd. So did you want to talk about our live session
Yeah.
at Podfest
yeah.
for this show?
So let
Back
me-
up on stage again.
Yeah. So what day and time?
We are January 25th. So we're on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time on the expo stage.
Oh, David says, just buy my ticket now. Only got the Expo Hall Pass so I can get into the events. Don't want to miss the Hall of Fame. Yeah, so I think, David, again, you'll have to buy, the Hall of Fame. Tom Webster says, seems bananas that it isn't part of the Podfest ticket. So that's what Tom Webster says.
Yeah. I did ask Todd or Chris about that today. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're doing it what time again?
3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. So we've got a full 90 minutes
Okay.
to be on stage on Thursday, the 25th of January,
On Thursday. Okay.
on the expo stage.
On the expo stage. So Thursday is the first full day of the show, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And okay, 3:30 to 5 on the big stage. Wow.
On the expo stage.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm not sure. I don't know what their setup is, but it probably will be a little bit noisy because of the expo going on around us.
No,
but
that's okay. And we're going to have Roberto Blake,
Mhm.
CEO of Creative Awesome Media.
yeah, he's a guy that's he's really all about advising people and teaching people about how to be successful on YouTube and other platforms around video as well as podcasting. So he's
Okay.
kind of a convergence guy as well, and he does have a partnership with StreamYard as well. So
All right.
so I've done shows with him and things like that here recently, and I
then-
figured getting him on this show is a good place to spark that. I mean, he's at the event, so we
Yeah.
might as well pull him up too.
And then Gautam, am I pronouncing that right? Raj Anand?
Yep, that's exactly right. He's the CEO and founder of Hubhopper, which is a hosting platform out of India.
So this is Gautam. I'm going to have to have that written down on my card because I am going.
Well, it's going to be in front of you on that sheet. So
right. So I'll be able to keep referring.
you can practice.
Well, that's good. So are we going to be live or what are we going to do?
I believe it's my understanding right now, at the very least, it's going to be recorded. So
Okay.
it depends on if we want to try and set up like I might be able to live stream it off.
I would.
Off of my,
I think
my StreamYard
let's
account or something.
just get a good recording.
Yeah.
Because every
Fair
time
enough.
we try to go live, it doesn't work.
Turns into a disaster, right?
Yeah. If we're controlling the event, we can control the thing, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Yeah,
let's
let's focus on getting a good recording.
let's okay, fair enough.
Oh, and David, go ahead.
That kind of was what I was, on track for
Yeah.
anyway.
David said he just got his Hall of Fame ticket. Ah, awesome. So
Awesome.
we
Thank you
sold
very
one.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And if you're not going to be there,
supporting.
here's a way you can support. If you're not going to be there, buy a ticket anyway. It's $49. It's for a good
Just
cause.
watch it on the stream.
Yeah, and you can watch it for free on the stream, but buy a ticket anyway. See, that's how you can give value
But
back.
Todd, I'm going to be looking for that person at the event. It's like, well, he bought a ticket. Why isn't he here?
Well, it doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't.
And if you're feeling really, 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 really contributable, buy 10 tickets and then give them away at
Write it off. Right.
Yeah. Give them away at Podfest.
Right.
So, and the awards is what night? Again, I forgot. The actual
the 26th.
The 26th. So let me look at
which is Friday night.
Okay, so 26th is Friday night. All right. At what time?
7 p.m. Eastern. So it'd be 4 o'clock Pacific.
Okay. So
and I set this to start right at 7. So it's not like we're gonna
dilly
start
dally
the stream at 7:15 or something crazy like that.
All right.
I'm not a big fan of that. So we'll start the stream probably a couple minutes before 7,
Okay.
and then we'll start right at 7 is my plan.
All right. So yeah, so going back to the new media show, should be a good conversation. Are you working on an agenda for us?
Yeah, I've actually got most of it done already.
Oh, good. The few times that we do this show where we actually have an agenda.
Well, I don't know how often. I mean, I think we go off the agenda quite often.
We stay pretty close.
Well, I know. Yeah.
So
I
do want to talk about one thing that I have started.
Oh, okay. What's that?
And there'll be a link to it in the show notes today, but I think I talked about it the show before where I don't know, I didn't have a moment, but it was one of those situations where I was kind of I was reading something. I was reading something in the podcast movement group, and I got really pissed. I have resounded to not comment as often as I used to about bad advice. I really try to refrain myself, and it's hard. It's hard because some of the advice I see is absolutely unequivocally bad.
Off the mark. Right. Yeah.
And so I started to decide I'm going to start a Facebook group that everyone who listens here already knows where I'm coming from, but challenge is a lot of podcasters are not, they're getting a lot of bad advice a lot of the time. And so the goal of this group, and it's going to be called Podcasting Unfiltered, it's actually live now on Facebook, is that I'm going to stick to one topic a week, a simple topic, because oftentimes we talk about lots of stuff. People get fed by the fire hose and they never implement anything. So I'm going to try to stick to one topic a week and say, this is what we're going to focus on. And maybe it's as simple as your episode title. Maybe it's as simple as the intro to your show. I'm going to break it down in micro steps. So hopefully by the end of the year, there will be enough of those commentary. Now, what I'll do is once a month, we'll have a live thing where we'll talk about all 4 things from the previous 4 weeks. And it'll be a Facebook live thing we'll do in the group. And it's just basically to have a discussion. And I might even do a companion podcast, maybe something sweet, 2 or 3 minutes on the topic. Just hammer it, bam, out. Of what I think. Take it or leave it.
Right.
You disagree with it, do your own thing. But
Yeah.
so that's kind of the goal. Because, after the verge of 20 years here, and you too, we've lived and breathed this thing every day, 24/7 almost.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to, there's going to be no lofty expectations. There's not going to be any consultant double speak. There's not going to be hard sell of blueberry stuff. That's not what this is all about. Not what it's all about. And again, it's going to be take or leave it. I'm going to dish it out, and we can debate it within there. No promotion allowed, no consultants allowed unless I actively invite them. No advertising, even me. No advertising of services, none of that. It's just going to be, and I don't want to call it a mastermind, but that's essentially what it's going to be. So you're free to join, Rob, if you want. And again, it's just going to be, we're gonna stay focused and have a takeaway that someone can go look at their website, look at their content, do analysis. Just, am I doing this? And is what Todd is saying, does it make sense? And should I implement this or not? That's it.
Yeah, I think we are in an era of this medium, at least here in North America. It feels like that the effort has been to kind of like figure out what works and cut everything else.
Yeah. No,
I think we're in this kind of trimming phase. I think you see it a lot with Spotify right now. They keep cutting programs that they have that maybe aren't performing.
I'm getting an email from them every day of the shows that they're removing.
Yeah, so that's the era that we're facing now. I did do a call with the podcast show folks just yesterday, and they're giving me the impression that the same kind of atmosphere that's happening in the US around people pulling back and people trimming and people kind of trying to optimize what they have, right? Maybe trim their spending, kind of deploy things that are really working and emphasize the things that are really working. But what they're seeing in Europe is that there's still enthusiasm for podcasting over there that's more like what it was here prior to this big pullback that we've seen.
Hold on. There's not been a big pullback except for in the upper end.
Okay. I'm speaking very broadly in the industry, right? It's not everybody that's struggling, but we have seen a decline in active shows. Yeah. We've seen a decline in advertising spend. We've seen all those things, and those don't foster increased investment, right? And so that's why we've seen pullback on this and people getting laid off. I mean, it's not just podcast industry. People are getting laid off. It's companies all over the place here in the US are actually doing stealth layoffs, and they're doing all sorts of stuff, and it's putting a lot of people out of work right now. But that is not necessarily happening overseas. And that's what was interesting about my conversation with them, is that they're still seeing a lot of enthusiasm. And they actually talked about you, Todd.
Really?
Blueberry's going to be over there
Yeah.
At the podcast show this spring, and they obviously want me to be there and participate as well. But I don't know if I'm able to go this year. But again, I went the first year. But I think it's an interesting contrast to what's happening internationally with this medium and what's happening in the U.S. And that's why I wanted the CEO of this Hubhopper company to join us, is to kind of talk about the international aspects of this and getting into a huge country like India. They're now the world's largest country. They actually surpassed China in population. So, what is the opportunity for all of us and India around this medium?
So
that's what I'm hoping to talk to him about.
So let me interrupt here.
Don't eat me, Tom Webster.
He says, what a
Right.
coincidence. I am starting a group that only gives bad advice. Maybe we can feed swap. So we're doing something new at Blueberry. Everyone's got a monthly report now. So
Tom's always got his little jab at you.
yeah. So we at Blueberry put out our first January 2024 statistics report.
Yeah.
And so someone made a comment, where's Spotify in my top list? Well, they're coming. We'll expand the list next month and get Spotify in there. But some people questioned some of our numbers. Imagine that. Because they look a lot different than other hosting providers.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
saw
well,
that.
there's a reason. Because our customers are different. And, you know,
I think you have a lot of legacy clients that didn't get into Spotify or some of these other
they're
newer
in
platforms.
They're in
right?
Spotify, but they're businesses, and there's they're different makeup of shows. They're religious shows, and so if you look at our we put our cards on the deck. 22% of our customers are religion and spirituality. And 18% news. This isn't about. Go ahead.
I think there was a time when you could look at the data from these, like a hosting platform like Blueberry or Libsyn or whatever, and say that's a bellwether for the industry. And I just don't know that that's a good way to look at it now. I think, there are, especially with the legacy hosts, there is legacy podcasts that are driving a lot of the numbers.
Our top 5 categories is business, news, religion, society, and sports. That's our top 5.
Yeah.
And
where does Gen Z fit into all that?
And then we broke our average episode listens a little bit different. And there's a disclaimer, and I have to read the disclaimer. Our range is determined when a show met the threshold one time, aka 10,001 listen downloads during the reporting period. When a show met the threshold, we included all episodes for the past 30 days that had been published a minimum of 10 days. So basically, shows that had a minimum of 100 to a maximum of 1,000 downloads at least once in a month, the average number of downloads was 152. Where it was 1,001 downloads to 10,000, the average was 1,127. And what people got confused was like, how could the 10,001 to 50,000 have 7,611? Well, we measured them if they hit 10,001 one time. Didn't mean the rest of their episodes were 10,000 and over.
So, Todd, did you mean to use the word listens versus downloads?
Same thing. Listens and downloads. Same thing. Let's use that word interchangeable. They mean the same thing. And then 50,001, then it changes completely. The average was 104,000 downloads per episode. That was the average. So, I think that we tried to break out a range. And again, we had to explain our methodology because people are like, how did that, if it was 10,000 to 50,000, that number should never be below 10,000 on an average. Well, again, the show only had to hit it once. So, if we decide to change the methodology, too many people complain, we will. But we basically said, okay, the episode has to be 10 days old at a minimum and then look back. So nothing's perfect. But this is...
Todd,
go ahead.
So how should we distinguish between these terms that are being used in the industry right now? So you have
listens and downloads are being used.
Downloads and impressions.
Listens and downloads have been used interchangeably for at least the last 3 to 5 years.
Okay, then how does this emphasis now that we're starting to see around the term impressions?
They're going to have to define.
Where does that fit?
They're going to have to define impression. They're going to have to say
that's still considered listen, and how much was listened is the next question.
Okay, well that's the $82,000 question.
It is. It is. and
Well,
that's why I
actually,
asked
there is
this
a
question.
there is a semi solution for a segment of that. But if you think about the
Mhm.
the word I'm looking for here is, well, I think what it is. To be honest with you, I bet you impression slash plays slash downloads is probably the same thing.
But they have clearly different
but in
kind of intentional meanings.
But if they're sticking to the IB
that are not the
standards,
di-
I
not
bet
the
you
same.
impression equals a download and play. It's all BS. So impression. I'm just going to define it for them. They're just using it as a marketing ploy. Impression, plays, and download are probably all the same thing. In podcasting,
But are we playing a little smoke and mirrors with the
yes,
industry by
there is smoke and mirrors
using
going on.
these terms?
There
right?
is smoke and mirrors, but plays and downloads have been used a lot, interchangeably by a lot of people. Impressions has not.
Okay.
So
So they're equivalent. So a listen is equivalent to a download.
it's the same thing.
Even-
In
even
Blueberry's
though-
in
Okay.
Blueberry's definition, a download equals a listen equals a download.
Okay, so but using that term "listen" doesn't mean that it was listened
No.
to 100%.
No,
Just like a
Impression-
download
right?
doesn't imply that
That's-
you listened to
that's right.
100%.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but I think the one that was kind of interesting for us was people said, "Wow, Chrome had 4.6 and 3.75." Yeah, there's still people using browsers to consume content. We didn't just look at apps,
Right.
and then we did combine a whole bunch of Android apps just to get them to 3.32%. Google Podcast 2.5, Overcast 2.27, Podcast Addict 2.23. But
Did you have a breakdown of platforms versus clients?
basically, this is, like Windows and
No, like Apple Podcasts.
Apple
Spotify.
Podcasts is at 58.19, and then Apple Other, in other words, Apple Core Media, the stuff that
Yeah, but I don't see Spotify on this list.
no, it's not on the list.
So it's not
For-
a platform. It's
Well, it will
it's
be on.
app.
It'll be on
It's
the
app.
it'll be on the next one. We basically, what we didn't do is we didn't combine. We break Spotify out by Apple and by Android. So on the next, excuse me, by iOS and Android. So we give separate numbers. So on the next one, I will do a combined, and they'll show up in the percentage point. So essentially, no one iOS or Android within Spotify got above 2.09. So when I combine them in the next report, it'll be above 2.019. Because you
So
basically,
why?
go ahead.
Yeah. So why couldn't you display the Spotify app in here as a client?
Because the way I had it broken my stats is I have Spotify by iOS, Spotify by Android, and on the next report we'll combine those. We'll put it in.
Oh, you will.
We'll put
Okay.
it as a Spotify app combined, but it's still, it'll probably be up there in the top 4 or 5. But again,
Mhm.
we didn't break it down. It's our fault for not combining iOS and Android. So we'll fix that on the next go around.
Yeah.
But-
So I think the last time we talked about this, Todd, I think you mentioned that you didn't see a drop in Apple Podcasts that
No.
has been reported by
Okay. So
any others.
now here's the thing. Everyone saw a little bit of a drop based upon the new
Changes
the
to how
new change to not the looking back and downloading and at looking at the trying to re-download. We weren't affected by that, but everybody was affected by the change in subscribe behavior and dropping
right.
by default, dropping everyone after not listening to 5 episodes. So everyone will see a little bit of a bump just because of that alone.
Yeah, it's a way to trim up kind of false downloads.
But
that aren't being listened to. But,
so the
right.
question I have.
I mean, it's not false downloads; it's actual downloads. It's just those downloads likely aren't being listened to.
Let's bring it back here. So the question I have: is anybody writing a check back to advertisers?
Well, they're probably doing make goods. Would be probably the most likely situation.
You think?
It depends on how honest they are, Todd. Isn't that good? Isn't that the right way to look at gonna renew on the IAB? I keep hearing that. It's too expensive.
Not the renewal. The read thing is only like well, you got to pay a membership fee, expensive. Renewal fee. So we'll see. We'll see who doesn't, who Rob, who's not going to pay the renewal? Who's bumping?
I don't know. I just keep hearing that,
I have an IAB meeting tomorrow. I will take note of who is there and who isn't there. And I can't legally like do a roll call, but I'll just kind of look through the list.
Well, let me play devil's advocate here a little bit on this topic. Is that I'm sure some platforms feel like they've made the technical adjustments to be relevant to accurate counting. Is any incremental improvement going to make a big difference and worth the investment? I think that could be what we're facing going forward, and it has me.
Is that what you're hearing?
Well, no, that's kind of the rationale that I can visualize in my head.
So you're doing a hypothesis that people are not renewing.
Well, okay, let's lay out kind of a financial scenario,
Yeah.
right? For a company that maybe has been laying people off and
Oh yeah,
seeing
that's
sluggish
that's
growth
probably
in their customer base,
$16,000 or $17,000 bill. Maybe they don't want to pay.
right? Or they can't really afford to pay and still keep operating. So
If they're not doing a bunch of advertising, then maybe it's not worth it.
yeah, I would agree. I think it's the platforms that are doing a lot of advertising engagement, maybe the ones that are more likely to upgrade. But even that, being able to claim that, and most of the agencies already recognize all these companies as being platforms that are IAB certified.
But
Maybe
what
They don't
happens?
care if they're renewed or
Well,
not.
maybe depends on your marketing angle.
And what's the real advantage of upgrading is the bigger question.
Well, there's the new specification. At some point in the near future, I'm assuming it's going to be up for review. So while I can't speak to the specifics of it, then we'll see. I was reading.
Is there any tangential
Rob, I cannot say.
Of the
You'll get to see it as soon as everyone else.
Okay.
I have my team actually doing a review because I need some feedback by noon tomorrow. So my team's reviewing the draft changes.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of companies in the industry are asking themselves the same question. I know I am. I'm not working for any of these hosting companies, but those are the questions I'd be asking right now. I know you can't say much.
I would just say that we're in it for another round.
And I think probably all the big players that are associated with significant advertising initiatives inside of their organization will probably do the same.
Now next year, when your membership price is based upon, I think,
Your
revenue versus advertising dollars, then we might see a shift of some people punching out because the cost to just maintain membership is going to be extraordinarily high.
Yeah. And that may leave the door open for a little bit of growth in the OP3 folks.
Well, they don't have a standard. They don't have they have nothing to, they have, again, they're doing a redirect. So their redirect will never
Right now they are, right.
Yeah, their redirect will never be as accurate as a host log file.
No.
So
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah. Totally.
no matter what. But I think that from my perspective, Oh, this is another one that got people's. I have Nigeria on the list of top 10 countries. And people go, where did that come
What?
from? Well, I have 2 shows
that do good,
that
right?
that drove 99.99% of that traffic.
Wow. Okay.
And even I was like, where did that come from? I had to have my dev team go in and tell me what shows are driving that traffic. And they gave me the 2 shows, and I went to their stats. I was like, oh, holy crap. Are they on a pro plan?
Right.
Look how much bandwidth are they using, and go to the other log. I'm, holy crap, look at these guys, So
and we could see substantial growth outside of the US.
So, I think it's an interesting list. US makes up 50%. Again, these are Blueberry customers. 50% US, 5.86 UK, Canada 5.2, Australia 2.9.
Those are pretty high percentages for those countries, in my opinion, just off of your platform.
Yeah. Brazil was a little lower than I thought it would be. 1.6, Czech Republic 1.6, Sweden 1.4. And everyone else.
I mean, just total up all the hosts in the industry, and those numbers are going to go up.
So, I was surprised that the U.S. was, for at least us, was approaching less than 50%.
Yeah.
So I have another thing I hadn't put together. I'm trying to figure out which countries are breaking out. So I had November's data, and I looked at December's data, and just some stuff didn't make sense. So I was basically set a threshold from 1 month to the next in growth. I wouldn't expect big jumps based upon the volume set, but some of the jumps were massive. So we're going back and looking at that data, because I wanted that we're most proud of, and that the fewest people have talked about, is our global retention data. And the way that works is if they listen 1 to 25% of the show, percentage of the episode listened to, 6.73% stopped in the first 1 to 25%. 1.45 stopped in 26 to 50% mark. 51 to 75, 1.28 stopped. 75 to 99, another 6% stop. But the completion average was globally 84.49. Now, that is for a segment. 4.49. Now, that is for a segment of all. Try to put a little different report.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Did you notice this new AI action that's been enabled in the Descript app called Edit for Clarity?
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that. Yep.
It says Edit for Clarity. It intelligently identifies and removes distracting filler words, and it's always been able to do the filler word stuff, but it's also included now tangents and non-essential sections, basically ensuring that your message is concise and impactful.
So did everything I just talked about in stats, would that be considered inconsequential and be removed?
Yeah, well, I think the big takeaway for me on this is that I think you have a new podcast editor here that is actually getting into the content, editing your thoughts. And I'm not sure that that's a good direction here, but I don't know. What do you think, Todd?
Well, all I can say is I'm going to leave the editing to Descript.
You are okay. No, but I mean,
at least for now.
I mean, really think about this: non-essential sections of your audio.
I hope you get the ability to choose to remove it.
Or tangents.
Tangents are the best part of the show.
About a topic, and Todd, you decide to all of a sudden start talking about, your backyard
right
snow level, and then we come back to talking about,
well, we do that on this show all the time. So
I know, but I think this AI would come in and clip out that talk about the snow level in your backyard.
Well,
so.
it wouldn't be my AI for much longer if it did that.
It's critical information that needs to be in the show, right?
Speaking of AI, we got I've been buried. I told my marketing team, I tasked them on Monday to basically spend 6 hours every week testing our new system.
Mhm.
And do you know how many scenarios they are? Solo host and a co-host, host and a co-host and a guest, host and a guest, host and 2 guests, 5 people and a guest. Do you know how many scenarios you have to test with
Right.
AI? And the team is like, why do we have to spend 6 hours testing this thing? And plus I'm going to have a bunch of podcasters come in and test. I'll be like, we're writing scenarios.
Right.
And oh man,
there's a lot of scenarios.
There's a lot of scenarios. I'm sure I'm not going to get them all.
And I think you can add another one to the list is conversational formats.
Well, and this, of course. So, but again, having listened to as many podcasts as I've listened to, I know a lot of the formats.
Oh, already, yeah.
Yeah, and
they're fairly standard.
So,
right.
I'm just like, you get one shot with this. You get one shot with AI. You do. If we don't get this right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was at about 11:30 this morning. I was doing some pretty big backflips because some of the output was just tremendous. At least the first segment of the stuff that I'm testing, and so maybe in about 5 or 6 weeks we'll be ready. Maybe. Yeah. The hardest part has been the prompts. Getting the prompts right for the queries, because we're writing complex queries.
Yeah. I saw that Rephonic has rolled out something it's an AI podcast question generator.
Blueberry customers, hang on. Don't go use that. Don't
use it yet.
Don't go use it.
Right.
Actually, I was talking with a client today, and it was funny because I was kind of doing a little bit of behind the scenes reveal of what we've got planned, and she says, I'm doing some of the same things in different places. I said, exactly. I said, that's how we kind of figured this out. For the last 6 months, we all been playing with this. So this is not rocket science. The integration is the challenge, and getting the outputs to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And we're learning what the AI doesn't do. We're learning what it completely ignores, which, because sometimes you give it something and it'll completely ignore it. So you have to, I guess the better word is go out, grab what you told it to look at, parse it, and then give it to it in a parse format. Because otherwise,
I'm increasingly seeing where you have to be pretty explicit with it. Also, it will leave important stuff out.
In this case, this particular part of the testing that's not as important, but the next part will start next week. That's where, leaving something out.
Because it has to decide what's important and what's not. And that may not align with the creators.
The key is not
what's important and what's
not. The key is to make it respond and tell you 5 different ways what it thinks is important. Give me like the top 5 most important things that you think in the podcast. Don't just give me one.
Right.
And then use your own brain to pick the one you think is the best. And the same thing with the summary. You tell it, don't, just summarize. Don't add nothing else. Don't interject. Just use this, create a summary from that. Don't take any outside data. Use what I give you. Don't go hunting for something in your vast database. And don't hallucinate. So
But
everything's
I thought it was funny, this post that was it Westwood One made on their website about advertising. Did you see this?
Oh, is this the one where people are pissed off they're not going to make their numbers?
No. This is actually funny. I'm going to put that out there right at the beginning. It says podcast consumers prefer funny and entertaining ads, but say they currently hear more ads that are communicating dry features and benefits. So humor and comedy in advertising here, Todd, is what people prefer.
Hmm.
It says here, two types of podcast ads. Weekly podcast consumers are interested in funny ads, 71%, entertaining ads, 71%. However, the top type of podcast ads actually here are mainly communicating features, benefits of products and services, 78%. Entertaining and funny ads are only heard by 72 and 68% of weekly
Well, I
podcast
guess I'm going to have to go and grab my GoDaddy ad script and copy that out, put it in Chat GPT, and tell it to make it funny. I don't know if my advertiser wants me to be funny. I guess it depends on how how do you, okay. If you're a comedian, I guess you can do okay, but how do you do that without insulting your product read?
Well, that's the magic of comedians, right?
I guess.
Is that they're able to walk that line and be funny, but I guess in the past anyway, the podcast hosts that were comedians were not as concerned about offending their advertisers. But now you kind of are walking on eggshells if you want to be ironic and funny in your ads. And people are more sensitive to that now. So I think it's a really interesting, question.
Well, I know that I have survived another month with the change GoDaddy made. So, waiting. It's about 7 days away from reporting on to see, Yeah, I don't know.
So they made some big changes to their overall marketing strategies, Todd?
Yeah, they did. They took all the deals away.
Oh, you mean their coupon codes?
Yeah, all that's gone. So what I'm promoting,
all of it's gone.
All of it's gone. So all I'm promoting now is front of page pricing, and I still have to hit my numbers, baby. Woohoo!
Oh, so they're not offering any loyalty discount codes?
Not right now. They're not. And again, they
must be really concerned about margins then.
I would suspect so. Or they think they've got enough brand awareness that they don't have to do that no more. And believe me, I went looking because I said, was this just for me? or was this for everybody? And basically my rep said for everybody. And believe me, I went and looked about 100 different places because I wanted, to make sure that it just wasn't my neck on the line. And so I held my breath the first month, and we came through okay.
Because you really built up a kind of like a
massive
reputation for being a place to get, some discounts and deals.
Yep. So
with GoDaddy.
So now it's the product have to sell itself now because I don't have a deal. But we made
full
our number.
Price, or
full
is
price.
there any kind of a discount?
0.
Okay.
So
no 10% off or 5% off or
nothing
anything like that.
Nothing. Nope.
Oh, that's going to be hard to convert new customers.
Well, I made it the first month, and so
and they may ask you to be funny next, Todd.
I might start having to be funny. Adventures in Audio. Thanks for just getting here. Yeah, we're well, Mike. Thanks. Yeah, Blueberry customers are smarter, of course.
Right.
Anyway, we had good traction on YouTube today. I haven't been watching Facebook at all. I apologize if you've been over on Facebook. I have not been watching Facebook. at all today.
Yeah, I guess we made it 90 minutes, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So let me see here. Did we have anybody? Oh, what's going on here? Let me double check this. Oh yeah, we've been live on Facebook. All right, we're good. Anita, Matt, others, thumbs up. Thank you so much. Okay, so here's the dealio. We will be live from Podfest.
I don't know that we'll be live.
Yeah, we'll be live at Podfest.
Live at Podfest, but not live from Podfest.
So
right,
if you are in attendance at Podfest, please come and sit down. Should be an engaging. Are we going to be able to go 90 minutes? You got enough to talk about for 90
minutes? Who cares if we can or not? I mean, what I'd like to do is if we can take Q&A questions. So this should be a good
And
way to do it.
if you're at Podfest, I'll be presenting on Podcasting 2.0 Saturday. I have a whopping 30 minutes to get through my ever expanding slide deck. So hopefully I can talk fast and walk fast like I normally do.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing a presentation too about the convergence strategy between doing audio and video. So
that's what you're calling it now, is a convergent strategy?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we haven't been doing no convergence here. We've been doing it.
We've been doing a convergence strategy for 12 years. What are you talking about?
And if you use ChatGPT and you go to the GPT store and you search for podcasts, you'll find some of my GPTs that I have built for my.
I made a GPT too for StreamYard.
Well, good. Then make it public. I've made mine public. So if you're on ChatGPT and go to the GPT store, just search.
Mine is public.
Just search for podcast and you'll see it there in the list. And
yeah, it's in the public marketplace now of GPTs. So you can go to that tab that says Explore.
Yeah,
GPTs.
so you have to. Does it say StreamYard? Is that what it says?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just search for podcasts. You'll find there's 3 or 4 of them in there. My name's associated with it, so you'll find them.
It's the same with me. My name is associated with it too.
But let's see here. I got to continue self-promoting. So
I think that's kind of the beginning of what we're going to see with AI going forward. And I think we're seeing the beginnings of it to some degree with people starting to recognize that the Optimus robot from Tesla is going to have its own kind of like AI apps. It's going to be like an app store that's going to support their robots. So in some ways, this is somewhat a little bit reflective of that, but it's also the very beginning of each of us having our own AI agents that help us in our lives. So
make a podcast on StreamYard Prodigy?
Yep.
What does that mean?
This means making a podcast on StreamYard.
Oh, okay. Is that so? I'm going to have what? StreamYard is a live platform. Stop.
You can record your podcast.
I know,
on
but
StreamYard.
come on now.
It's the same thing that Riverside's been doing. Same thing this podcast's been doing for years, right?
Okay. Well, again, you guys can try my podcast lead content generator, my narrative summarizer, and my episode art creator. They're all available underneath the public GPTs. Please use them. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
So I probably should put some instructions on a couple of these because people don't know exactly how to use them, and it's not super clear. So I'll probably modify mine, include instructions.
Just above your query field, there should be some suggested.
Yeah, but again, okay, well, I'll put some more instructions in so that it's more clear.
At least get you started with.
Yeah, I don't use those query pieces at all. So I designed it to take a certain input and give a certain output. So
okay.
Yeah.
Whatever works, Todd.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, I guess we'll see some of you down at Podfest next week. So I still have a lot of work to do to get ready, but working on it.
Yeah, I just have my presentation to get ready and show up.
Yeah.
Todd at blueberry.com or Geek News at Gmail, one of the two, at Geek News on X, at Geek News, at geeknews.chat on Mastodon.
Yeah, I also want to mention really quick that Dr. Drew is going to be on stage doing a fireside chat with Chris Kremitzos on Friday the 26th in the morning. I think he's on stage at like 10 o'clock or something like that with Chris talking about, so if you're a fan of Dr. Drew, it's a good opportunity to see him in person. So, but I can be found on Twitter as well at Rob Greenlee and robgreenlee.com. On the StreamYard channels, podcast tips with Rob Greenlee every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So I actually have Danny Pena on the show this coming Thursday, tomorrow. He's a podcast Hall of Famer from 2015. So I'm excited for that show. Talking about community, about building community.
I had a failure in my podcast host duties. Live and lit. We had 1,701 stats come from Mike Dale. Mike Dell, glad to see Hall of Fame coming back. 5150 sats from Matt Kundle. Let me be the last to wish you guys a happy new year. 5150 sats from Dave Jones. My 1965 Ford truck cranked up fine this morning and drove to work with 0 issues. Good old American steel. And from last week, 10,000 sats from Adam Curry. Let's replace Todd with Chat GPT-4. Good luck with that. I don't.
Oh, that's from Adam.
Yeah.
Saying,
What did you guys talk about on the show? That's the question. So, Todd doesn't hallucinate until he gets a few Jack and Cokes in him. So,
and when he does, he really does. Yeah.
All right. So with that, thank you everyone for being here. We'll see. You'll see Rob in 2 weeks. I won't be here in 2 weeks. So you see Rob with somebody else, but I'll be back in 3 weeks. And next week we'll be at Podfest.
Yeah, but we'll record an episode at Podfest and we'll publish that out into the feeds.
Oh, that's true.
And up to YouTube and those platforms. And so you'll be able to see what trouble we got into down there.
You can get this podcast on podcasting apps, audio and video. Podcastapps.com.